much, Daktari, for being with us. I'm part of F15 production. We are shooting one documentary about the University of Nairobi hitting 50 years of service, the pharmacy school, and you being part of the team, would like to have your take on the same. So I'll start by kindly asking you to introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Dr. George Masafu. I'm among the first pharmacists in the University of Nairobi in 1974. Yeah.
When did you do your pharmacy course back at the University of Nairobi?
The pioneer class was, reported in June 1974. We were 24 of us. That's when we began the pharmacy course at the University of Nairobi. Yeah.
24 students only in the whole class?
We were the pioneer students. Yeah. There had never been any facilities to accommodate pharmacy. Yeah. And you know, pharmacy is a very expensive course. You need laboratories to handle the course. So they could not take many. Medicine students were coming 100. Okay. Yeah, because the laboratories were already developed. Yeah. But for us, the pharmacists, we did not have any suitable laboratories. So we were just taken a small group to begin with. And in the first and second years, we were sharing facilities at the Faculty of Sciences, where we had chemistry. So the chemistry block, we had the students who were doing BSc chemistry. So they had laboratories for chemistry. So we joined in to use those facilities. Yeah, and that was 1974, 1975. And then from there, the new chemistry block was built in Choromo campus. Yeah. So we moved from the main campus to Choromo to join in the new chemistry block. But it was not anything specific for pharmacy. Yeah, those were the challenges we faced. And why? Because, why did I do pharmacy? When you did PCB, which is physics, chemistry, and biology, you are destined to do medicine. Okay. Yeah, but my mind was not on medicine. Although medicine was available in the Makerere University in Uganda and Nairobi University, but dentistry and pharmacy were not available in either of these campuses. So if you wanted to do pharmacy, you had to go to UK. Okay. So obviously, we found that was the easiest way of getting to UK. So I chose to do pharmacy so that I could go to UK. But then when the President Kenyatta discovered we were 24 of us who had applied, he said, why should you go to UK? Start a school here. That's how we all just bundled up. Yeah. And we have found ourselves now admitted here. And our hopes of going to UK failed. Yeah. But it was a very good adventure. And as pioneer pharmacists, we really enjoyed the challenges that we faced. Yeah. Yeah.
So can you, of course you mentioned part of it, but can you help us capture some memories from back in the time, some social aspects, academic aspects of
okay. Those days, it was only one university in Kenya, the University of Nairobi. We didn't have another university. Kenyatta University was a college of education, was a faculty of education for Nairobi University. Okay. So the students were going there but coming to graduate in the Great Court here at Nairobi University. So we were, these were very prestigious. To join the University of Nairobi, it was very prestigious. And when we joined, of course, one, because we were pioneers, we didn't have facilities. But we took everything in our stride because the syllabus which was drawn up for us, the biochemistry thought we must do biochemistry. Physiology, anatomy, the whole of chemistry, and even zoology and mycology, every subject, and in sciences, the professors thought we must do it as pharmacists. Yeah. So imagine, we could go to do chemistry in the morning, we cross to Choromo to go and do physiology, to go and do biochemistry. Then we could catch a bus to Kabete campus, where it was veterinary. We had to go and do zoology. Zoology is the study of diseases of animals, how animal diseases affect, like East Coast fever, foot and mouth disease, and so forth. So We then from the campus in the Kabete, a bus would take us to Kenyatta Hospital to go and do now parasitology, microbiology, and so forth. So by the end of the day, we're coming at 6 o'clock. We've been running around, we come, look at our friends who are doing liberal sciences, liberal arts. They could do 2 or 3 hours in a day, and they had all the time to go and enjoy their life in town. Yeah. And here with us, here we were running and going to do subjects which nobody knew what we were, how useful they were. But we were told as a pharmacist, you must know these subjects. So we were really loaded with the subjects we did. Of course, it had casualty on some of our colleagues after the first year who were made to repeat because the bulk of the subjects we were doing. But the teachers, we didn't have pharmacist teachers. The teachers who came were now who had finished bachelors of pharmacy in UK. Yeah. They were coming to study their masters. Yeah. Those were the ones now to come and teach us. Okay. Yeah. But the earlier pharmacists like Professor Maitai, Professor Maina, when they came, there was no pharmacy in Kenya. So they converted, like Professor Maitai had gone to do zoology, doping of horses, and so he was more like a veterinarian than a pharmacist. Yeah. Professor Maina was now literally the deputy head of biochemistry. He had done up to his PhD in biochemistry. So we did not have pharmacists. The young, in fact, the ones who now came from UK, most of them were like our age mates, coming to teach us. Yeah. So, but we took it in our stride and put our heads together and managed whatever they put together for us. We were able to handle it. Imagine the main campus is where the physics and chemistry were. Then Chiromo, we had physiology, biochemistry, anatomy. Yeah. Then from Chiromo, by university bus to the veterinary in the Kabete. We go do the zoology there. Then from there, we come to Kenyatta Hospital to do parasitology and microbiology. Now, whereas we were first year students, we were doing parasitology and physiology with the second year medical students. Okay. So we could be, it was like a crash program for us to be able to do parasitology and microbiology with the second year medical students. So we started the same exams. Yeah, with them, they are doing their second year exams, with us, we are doing our first year exams. But that's how competitive it was. Yeah. Then, academically, that's how it was. Library, we didn't have many books. In the university bookshop, there were not many books there were hardly any book in pharmacy. But luckily for me, I was a sponsored student. The pharmaceutical company called House and McGeorge sponsored me. So I took the books. I gave a list of books that were needed. They were flown over for me from UK. So I had a bigger library in my room than we had in there. So my colleagues could come to my room to come and we share the books I had. Yeah, and also they sent me exam papers from Cambridge University, Oxford University, and so that we started practicing on the pharmacy papers. So, but slowly the university bookshop started bringing in the books now for pharmacy, and that's when we started now at least having access to reference material. Otherwise, we were relying on our teachers. During that time, Professor Maitai now converted from veterinary to come now and now to start heading the school as our sub-dean. We had Professor Ogada, who was also a sub-dean before Professor Maitai now came to take over. And then we had now the young pharmacists doing their masters. Dr. Karanja now, we have Dr. Katuma, we had Dr. These were young who are now doing their masters while coming to prepare to teach us. And Dr. Tesema, the late Soila Tesema. Yeah, those were now the ones being prepared to train us. But we were doing pure sciences in Kabete and in Chiromo. We were doing pure sciences to prepare us to be now the pharmacies. Yeah, socially, of course, the social scene was good because the boom was just introduced in 1974. So, whereas I was sponsored, I was getting my money monthly, but the colleagues who are getting the boom were obviously making the best of the town in the evening socially, and the cinemas at that time were Odeon Cinema, were Nairobi Cinema. These were the cinemas. If you are anybody who is anybody at all, you had to take your girlfriend to Nairobi Cinema, and you eat popcorns there, and then you go and watch the movies on the big wall. And then when the pocket allows, you could hire Kenatco taxis, which was Mercedes, to bring you back to the. Yeah, that's how we lived. I was living in Hall 12. These were new hostels. We were staying, two of us, in separate chambers. They were well maintained. We had somebody who came to clean up, polish the floors, and so forth. Yeah, so socially, it was quite good. And the central catering unit just began. So we were now all going to central catering unit, and you could choose whatever. We could go and get beef, we could go and get pork, go and get chicken, and you decided what to eat. Yeah, the chefs were very well trained, and they were treated as like future leaders. Yeah, and they would actually, you go and find a chicken there, you are told, do you want it fried for you, or do you want it stew, or how do you want it done? So while you are standing there on the food, they prepare for you. Then, yeah, ugali and the sweet potato. Irish potatoes. Yeah. So life at the campus was really interesting. Was very good.
Yeah, because that is very different from what is there right now.
What is there now?
Right now, the hostels are not the best in the best condition. Seeing as, of course, they started in 1974. Makes sense. The central catering unit is in offering the best food. That's why students prefer to go to, it's called Klabu. So things have really changed. But
and now the numbers have grown. We were just very few of us, because when we moved from now the main campus to now to Kenyatta Hospital, that's when we were going to third year and fourth year. There you stayed alone in your room, the wardrobe, the bed, and you had a cleaner who would come in and polish your timber floor and clean up. You come from lectures, you come and find your room is set up properly. We had electric, we had irons. You had to press your shirts and really look smart like a future leader. Yeah, there again, we were just few of us. We had only 4 blocks. There's block A, B, C, and D. And the first 3 blocks were A, B, and C were for boys. And D was the only one for women. Women were very few in the medical school. Yeah, so that's where we were now, dentists, pharmacists, and the medical students. That's how the arrangement was that time.
Interesting. Now, based on your experiences, this being the first pharmacy cohort, do you think that the university was adequately prepared to deliver the course material in terms of teaching staff, general preparedness of the university?
Given that the pharmacy school was by an executive order of the president, it's like there be pharmacy school, and there it was. So it was an executive order. And everything else, we had like you build your ship as you sail. Yeah. There was nothing like a school build waiting for us to occupy. No, we came. As I told you, we were doing pure sciences. You go to physical chemistry class, you go to organic chemistry class, you go to inorganic chemistry class. So they were established. The university was already established in those pure sciences. We go to Kabete, we have zoology there. Yeah, we have animal physiology. We have, again, they were very established, but they were not established for pharmacy. But they were pure sciences that can support you to become a pharmacist in your future career now. That's how, although they were not prepared in terms of the infrastructure, the basic sciences that were being taught were already the basic sciences we need. So we joined already functioning classes, and we had lecturers PhD, most of them were expatriates. So we got very good teachers. So when we went to Kenyatta Hospital, again, it was the medical school was already there. So the parasitology, biology, virology, mycology, all those were already established pure sciences, which we again fitted in. But when we came now third year and fourth year, is when we started now pharmacy proper, the manufacturing of drugs, the regulations that govern the drugs. Those were at that time now, the capacity was being built. It was now 3 years since we started. So during that time, the momentum was being built. But initially, we relied on the pure sciences that were already existing at the University of Nairobi.
Okay. After graduation, which pharmacy practice sectors have you worked in, and what were some of your experiences in those sectors?
I have been one that has worked across all the pharmacy sectors because, as I told you, I was sponsored by a corporate that the leading pharmaceutical distributor in Kenya was called House and McGeorge Limited, and they had sponsored me at university. So when I finished in 1978, I went for registration for our internship. So 1979 June, we got registered, and July I joined the pharmaceutical sector. So I never worked with the government. Immediately I got registered in June 1978. In July I was already joined the private sector. Yeah, and there, what was House Mojoji doing? It was a supply chain company that collected medicine from around the world, from all the manufacturers from around the world, and imported them to Kenya. And then they had distribution network countrywide. Yeah, the major towns: Mombasa, Nairobi, Nakuru, Eldoret, Kisumu, and later on in Embu and Meru. Yeah, so we were importing what we call branded medicines, original medicine, research-based medicines from the leading companies around the world. So that exposed me immediately to the supply chain of pharmaceuticals worldwide. That's one advantage. Two, also I was traveled. I was being invited now to go to these companies overseas. So I started traveling overseas quite early. Yeah, that it opened up my eyes on the aspect of pharmacy practice in the world. Whereas when we began pharmacy in Kenya, the largest pharmaceutical sector was the Retail Chemist Association, RCA, where it was mostly the Asians who owned retail pharmacies. And there was nothing else they were doing except selling the medicines and buying from the wholesaler who is importing them. Yeah, and it was just to what were we doing at the end of the year. You could apply to the controller of prices monopolies to adjust your what you call dispensing tariff. A dispensing tariff to tell you how much you should charge per prescription, which medicines you charge for what. That was all. Pharmacy was not, in practice, it was really non-existent. It was just selling in the retail chemist. But when you now came out and now joined pharmaceutical sector, we started now looking at how pharmacy can now go into the importation also, because importation was now international companies who are doing it. We say now we have enough pharmacies. Can we now start looking at pharmacy intensively? So we now formed the Kenya Association of Pharmaceutical Industry, KAPI. Yeah. Now KAPI consists of 38 international pharmaceutical companies which were supplying medicines to Kenya. And I happened to be the chairman of the KAPI for 10 years because I was already in the pharmaceutical sector, and this was a new sector where apart from now the retail chemists. So the second largest now pharmaceutical practice was now trade, imported pharmaceuticals and distribution of pharmaceuticals. So now more pharmacies started coming to that area. In that area, the leading pharmacists at that time that were in the private sector, when I joined, it was like Dr. Stanley Mokaya. He was in Sibagegi. Sibagegi was one of the largest pharmaceutical importers. Then we had Dr. Mtana Lewa. He was there with Glaxo. Yeah, we had Dr. Karanja, who was with Warner Lambert. We had so these were the pharmacists who are now in private, in importation of drugs in the private sector. So KAPI grew to be now the voice of the industry because the retail now started playing a lesser role, and now manufacturers because of their international touch, not necessarily being dominant. Now, the Indians, the Asians who were running the retail sector, found that importation of pharmaceutical products from overseas could be substituted locally. Now they started factories. You just take your house where you are, you start producing pharmaceuticals there. So manufacturing of drugs now began. The serious drugs, like antibiotics and so forth, now began in the 70s, I mean in the early 80s, because one, the School of Pharmacy was now producing pharmacists to be able to work in those factories. So a conflict now arose between the international pharmaceutical companies and the local manufacturers. The local manufacturers, the standards were not, were people were just trying to fabricate things in their kitchens. So now pressure came from the CAPI and the international organizations, that the international manufacturers, that we must now look at the quality of the drugs being manufactured locally. That's what gave birth now to the registration of drugs. In 1981 April, that's when now registration of drugs in Kenya began. The chief pharmacist, Dr. Albert Mathenge, is the one now who spearheaded any drugs to be brought in Kenya must now be registered. Because at that time, you just wake up and you bought anything from anywhere from the world. But now from 1981 April, you said that time you said to submit applications for registration of drugs. And we were given a moratorium of 6 months. After 6 months, any drug which has not been applied for will not be allowed in Kenya. That's now serious control of pharmaceuticals began. So the local manufacturers had now to get approvals from the Ministry of Health, from the chief pharmacist's office. The chief pharmacist brought in a few pharmacists to help him with now supervision, enforcement of the regulations. At that time, enforcement of pharmacy regulations were being done by the drug inspectors. Drug inspectors were previously policemen, and they were reporting to the PS of health. They were not pharmacists. So there was always a conflict between the inspectors and the pharmacists. So we said, no, we must now train pharmacists to be inspectors. We cannot have the policemen policing the pharmaceutical sector. So you can see now, manufacturing is beginning locally, registration has begun, pharmacists are starting to take more responsibilities in inspection, and the first few pharmacists, I think Dr. Philip Nandi was one of the first to be trained by FDA on the inspection and regulation of pharmaceuticals. Okay, so now retail is going on, local manufacturing has begun, importation has come, and registration is coming. So you can see now pharmacy practice was broadening. And me being now in the pharmaceutical industry, representing 38 international companies. So I came now to understand so much about registration and international trade in pharmaceuticals. And so that gave me now, and at that time I also started doing some studies, now in strategic management, in finance and so forth. And I grew very rapidly. With exposure to multinationals, I started understanding how pharmacists can now also be managing directors of industries. You don't have to be a dispenser in a chemist alone. Or teaching was also there. But I now understood I can become a managing director of a pharmaceutical company. And that's the time how I grew up. I worked with House George after the graduation. After 5 years, I'd been promised to be a managing director. So when I was not made a managing director, I left and went to Jost Hansen and Son. Jost Hansen and Son was a German pharmaceutical company, importing medicine from Germany. German companies like Boehringer Mannheim, Boehringer Ingelheim, and so forth. So I went out to work with them. I worked with them for 9 years. Then from there, I went to Boots Healthcare, which was manufacturing medicine from Britain. So when I reached now Boots for 2 years, now House Mojojujan sponsored me. Now invited me to go back to be the managing director. That's how now I went back to House Mojojuj in 1993 to become the managing director, which was the largest, it was the first African managing director of that huge company, because it was formerly under the European, but when he left, there was now an Asian, and now it was me now, the local locally produced pharmacists, because and also because of my broad management now in the international companies, I now took over the leadership. And now, because we're the largest pharmaceutical company, and I was also controlling the pharmaceutical industry, we now started helping, now making sure that the School of Pharmacy was now supported by industry. Yeah. So our lecturers who are now lecturing at the School of Pharmacy became very much involved in registration of drugs. So they started also understanding now how registration is done. Yeah. So most of our lecturers actually ended up with in registration. Now, during that time, the pharmaceutical industry, branded industry, was saying, how are you ensuring that the quality of products being manufactured locally can be authenticated? That's now how the question of the National Quality Control Laboratory came up. That drugs which are being manufactured locally must also be subjected to some standards. Yeah, they cannot just be coming up with a white tablet, or sometimes they can go and buy tablets from town, come and give it as a sample. But what they're producing is not the quality which they're giving us. Yeah. So you can see now, again, we, because of this, National Quality Control Laboratory was created. And again, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board was also increasing its role, registration of pharmacies, registration of drugs, and so forth. So you can see the starting of the pharmaceutical, of pharmacy school sparked off all areas of pharmacy practice, from retail to pharmaceutical importation, to quality assurance, to the inspectorate. And so the pharmacy started now various branches. We had now local pharmaceutical manufacturers association, we had the international pharmaceutical association, we had, so all, most areas started now working. And the university also was now producing more pharmacists, doing masters, going for PhD. Now we are also producing more capacity at the university. So you can see just the starting of the pharmaceutical industry is what it triggered. Now, what triggered the pharmaceutical industry, or rather pharmacy practice, to grow. And that, so you can see my role in the growth of pharmacy across the whole, all the sectors, because of being in the main pharmaceutical industry, which is the international pharmaceutical industry, and the understanding of the role of pharmacy in healthcare, not just pharmacy as for manufacturing drugs, but pharmacy, its role in healthcare, and it's the politics of pharmacy globally. Yeah, the issue of generics and brands, all those, we had to be trained on, on those issues. So I would say I really enjoyed my stay, because I was moving from one side of pharmacy to another, and I had an understanding of each sector because of my position, and being the first one to come out, and later quite a number now of my colleagues also came and joined the pharmaceutical industry. At that time, if we joined the industry, people would say, look, you are abandoning pharmacy. You should come and be in the hospital and dispense in the hospital, and you should come and or teach. How can you go to start selling things? But later on, they saw I was already driving brand new cars, and I was feeling very comfortable. Then they realized, no, there's much more to pharmacy than just. So they also came out, and that's why you find since then. Now you can see, I have been now. I started a media house. I've been running my own media house, and now after 10 years of running my media house, I was made ambassador. Now I went and became ambassador of Kenya in the DRC, in Brazzaville, Congo Brazzaville, in Central African Republic, and Gabon for 10 years. So I just came back a year ago. Yeah. So and it's because of wide exposure. One thing I believe is that pharmacy is a very broad subject. So to do pharmacy, you must be an A student. To be an A student, you must get an A in history, in geography, in all the sciences. So literally, which means you can do any sub. You could have done anything. You could have been a lawyer. You could have been an engineer. You could have been. So you chose to do pharmacy because that's all that there was. But it was by choice. But it doesn't mean that you have to stay. You have to stay throughout your life. It's like now we are expanding. Who knew that the pharmacist could become an ambassador? now we are making it possible that pharmacists can also participate in global affairs. Yeah. Now what I'm doing at last is that pharmacists, universities are producing so many pharmacists. I know they're producing 2,000 per year. Yeah. Now we don't have enough room for them. Like now, what I'm doing, I've studied the studies into German language studies, because Germans want pharmacists, but you must speak German. So now what we're doing is training young pharmacists, even from university, to start doing pharmacy and doing German. When you finish the two subjects, you pass German, you pass pharmacy, we can now take those documents and take you to work in Germany. So now we know now there's enough room. Now we are trying to create room overseas. Now I want now to export young pharmacists to go and work overseas. That's what I'm doing now. Yeah, that's so in a nutshell. That's what.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, we can start with position, because you've mentioned in large about it. But
okay. Now, position of influence. Given that we were among the first few pharmacists in the country, obviously you had to take a responsibility very early. I became the secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya. Yeah, in 1981. In 1983, I became the chairman of the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, and during that time, we really made the profession known. Yeah, being a secretary, then becoming now the chairman. That's one side. We influenced the growth of pharmacy in the region. I spearheaded the formation of the Association of Pharmaceutical Societies of East and Central Africa. Yeah, where we brought Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya together, and Zimbabwe. Yeah, so with this, the Commonwealth Pharmaceutical Association got very interested in our regional body. Yeah, and the first ever Commonwealth Pharmaceutical Conference was held in Nairobi. Yeah, the Commonwealth Pharmaceutical Association were the ones now who sponsored the region. We brought pharmacists from within the whole region to try and see how we can now start harmonizing policies in the region, like registration of drugs. We are producing pharmaceuticals in Kenya. We want to sell them in Uganda. Uganda says, no, they are not registered here. So we harmonize our registration of drugs in the region so that the drugs can move easily in the region. So that was the first one, formation of the Association of Pharmaceutical Society of East and Central Africa. It's called APSECA. Two, we had, again, helping our regions, countries in the region, to start pharmacy. The first pharmacist graduates in Uganda came out in 1992. Yeah, and they came to Kenya for internship. We invited them to come and stay in Kenya so they were attached to the hospitals in Kenya. They were attached to manufacturing industries, to retail chemists, and so forth. So we helped to build Uganda, the pharmacists of Uganda in Kenya. And when now we finished that, we helped them to set up the National Drug Authority. With us, we already had the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. Now we had to help Uganda to start National Drug Authority to regulate now the manufacturing. Uganda did not have a single factory of pharmaceuticals. And pharmacists came to Kenya, we trained them to go and start. And in 1995, actually now, because I was now a managing director of the company of House and McGeorge, I went and opened the first branch, pharmaceutical branch in Kampala, yeah, to go regional. Yeah, so you can see the influence we're having in the region, having formed the Association of Pharmaceutical Society of East and Central Africa, and now helping Uganda to set up their own National Drug Authority, and using us to understand about inspections and so forth. Yeah, so that is the area, another area I've been in. The other one is leadership in the pharmaceutical industry, being the first managing director of a huge pharmaceutical company in Kenya. Again, that influenced a lot of other pharmacists to think of how to go to the industry. we came together, a number of us, to form the Pharmacy Trust. The pharmacists who are out now, we wanted to go and help our pharmacy school to train our students now in a much better manner than we were trained in. And so we formed the Pharmacy Trust. We started the first retail pharmacy at the School of Pharmacy, which was supposed to help the students to know how to do what we call the preparation of drugs, yeah, and also the sale of drugs and the registers of drugs and so forth. So again, our Pharmacy Trust is still going on. Myself, Professor Kwandai, Dr. Mukaya, Dr. Deborah Kyoye, we are in that Pharmacy Trust still seeing how we can help our pharmacy school to grow. Yeah. But there are so many other positions I've held, but those are the few that I can put on record now.
Sure. Thank you for that. You've done quite a lot. You have so much experience in various sectors. It's interesting, really. Can you kindly summarize what you consider to be your key contribution in pharmacy training and practice over the years?
One, I've been involved in the expansion of the role of a pharmacist in society. That a pharmacist, I remember when we graduated, we went on TV, on KBC. That was the only TV station at that time. And we are being introduced to the public now. And this announcer says, sasa tunafuraha sana, tuko hapa na wauzaji wa madawa. Please, can you stop that nonsense? We are not wauzaji wa madawa. Sisi ni wataalam wa madawa. Unajua tofauti sisi? Sikuwa tunafikiria you pharmacists ni wauzaji wa madawa. Hapana, sisi ni wataalam wa madawa. Now that even the media changed its grammar and vocabulary about pharmacy. Because previously, any quack and the pharmacist were the same. But because of now going to the media and insisting that we are treated as professionals, help now the recognition of pharmacy as a better profession. And also, we now had to get the university to now adopt the oath of pharmacy, so that we graduate as doctors. And from now we adopted now the title of doctor, and that's why I find at graduation pharmacists also now take an oath. And you are because pharmacy is such a dangerous profession. You can kill the whole world if you wanted to. You can use poison, but you have to take an oath that you will never use your specialized knowledge to do any harm to anybody, even your enemy. You can't do that. So again, with adoption of now bring us on the same level with dentists and medics, because it was made it look like dentists and medics were superior to pharmacists. Because they were being called doctor, and it was because they belong to the same registration body, which is the Medical and Dental Practitioners Board. So with us, we now also adopted that. If we take Professor Ndemo, Dr. Mokaya, and a number of us came up and said, no, we cannot be placed a notch lower than our own peers. And that was adopted, and that's how now pharmacy, we started graduating as doctors. And only those who are coming from America who are done PharmD, the doctor of pharmacy, would be called pharmacists. But I said, no, the medical students do 5 years here, and they are doctors. How can you, and with the dentists do 4 years? How do you come and call a pharmacist? Yes, anonymous, and call us wauzaji wa madawa and not wataalamu. So you can see again by coming to the media and positioning pharmacy as a profession of the top brains. That up to now, still when you stand up and say you're a pharmacist, people turn their heads, say, that must be a very bright man. And you see, these are some of the things we are trying to do to open up this new profession in the country and giving the image to that profession. And that's why now you find where we are. Like now, you can say, I've told you I've been involved now in shipping of pharmacists now to go outside, because with us we had a lot of opportunities. We enjoyed so much, but now I find my young colleagues coming out of university, they have no jobs. So I cannot be here running a pharmacy where a young pharmacist should be running. Now is to say, go overseas now. You go and we are not doing brain drain of pharmacists. No, we are producing. Every university now is producing pharmacists. Yeah, I don't know, over 1,000 and something per year, but we're not creating jobs. Yeah, so they're standing on each other. Hospitals are full, retail chemists are full. Every little street you walk on, you find out a pharmacy is on, and really doing poorly because the competition is there from the quacks. You can't just survive. Yeah, so I continue to expand the horizon of pharmacy profession. It's not just the narrow pharmacy the way it's understood, but we can participate in a big role. And when I've been in the, as an ambassador, we've also, when you start up and say, I'm Dr. So-and-so, I'm a pharmacist, why? They you mean pharmacists? No, diplomas. And when you started talking, they said, yeah, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So again, it's now trying to the face of pharmacy to be the pharmacists are professionals who are highly qualified and they can participate in any sector of the professions.
Yeah. What you'd have wished to do during your tenure but you didn't manage to do?
No, I've done everything.
You've done everything.
I've done everything, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
This is an exam you set for yourself. There's no exam where you say you now I'm setting the exams for myself. Like now, doing now the pharmacist to go to. Yeah, it's not a syllabus.
Sure.
It's you look at what the openings where you can help the profession to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a question here on you've been in pharmacy from the very early years to date. You've actually answered this. The evolution that you've gone through and the landmarks that pharmacy has taken over the years, the 50 years.
I think that's what I've explained.
You've been explaining that. Now the last three, what you'd wish to be remembered for in the pharmaceutical sector, and your vision for pharmacy.
That pharmacy is a very broad subject. The fact that we take the A students to do pharmacy, it means that students who could have done anything. And therefore, reinventing yourself in the course of your profession should not be mistaken as you abandoning pharmacy. Is that you are multifaceted in your talents. So you can actually do, look at how I've done. I was in the pharmaceutical, in supply chain initially, and I have not told you that I own a media house, a large media house in Western called West FM.
Yeah.
And I enjoy this, doing programs. Yeah. So you see, we are multi-talented, and you can reinvent yourself, but you can never stop being a pharmacist. Wherever you are influencing the public to know about the pharmacy. That you can do a lot of other things. That's for mankind now. It's not just for the narrow profession. Is that mankind is better, but we're having pharmacists in leadership. The only place we have not gone properly is politics. We are suppressed as a profession because we don't have a voice in the top places, and that's what we are now trying to influence the professionals. That pharmacists must now get into politics to be able to articulate their vision and to be able to take control. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, Dr. Murishu.
Dr. Murishu tried to stand in.
Dr. Mwangi believed.
Mwangi was the governor.
Dr. Kidero was the governor.
Yes.
And what would you like to be remembered for in the pharmaceutical sector?
That here is a man who made pharmacy. Pharmacy is a profession for mankind, and the pharmacist can play a role across the board if he is given a chance or if he fights to get a chance. So we cannot look at pharmacy as wauzaji wa madawa. Is that healthcare cannot be there without a pharmacist, and the image, even people respect by community, is you are given by what they perceive you as. And as a pharmacist, now given, you can say all these things I've done, if all of us also reinvented ourselves along the way, we could definitely go a long way. So we don't want to be narrow-minded. Pharmacists must be broad-minded to have influence across society, to be able to punch our weight. At the moment, we are punching far too below our weight. Yeah. Okay, sure. That is it.
Maybe just the last thing, take this opportunity to wish your fellow alumni and faculty and upcoming pharmacists congratulations, since University of Nairobi is hitting 50 years. Just a message of congratulations.
50 years ago, I joined the University of Nairobi to become a pharmacist.
Yeah.
50 years now, I have done a lot and I wish to do a lot.
Yeah.
But this will be done. I'm handing over the baton to my young colleagues, the pharmacists who are now graduating this year, who will graduate next year and the years to come. I would like to express our condolences to our departed colleagues. 50 years is not a short time. And along the way, a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues have fallen. And we extend our condolences to their families and loved ones. But for those of us who are still breathing, we say, pharmacy shall never die. Just like the English say, long live the king has died. They say the king has died, and long live the king.
Yeah.
So we say pharmacy, long live pharmacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. It was a pleasure speaking to you. You have